Okay.
Preparing live Zoom.
Okay. Let me know when it's streaming. Then you can start the recording.
Okay, we're going to start the recording now.
We're live streaming.
Yes, now I'm going to.
Start recording.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Go ahead,
Okay.
John.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I call the May Guam Board of Accountancy meeting to order. Present are, well, before we do this, can we just confirm? Looks like Dave is presenting the notices of the meeting. Looks like we have two. April, what's the date? Looks like they're properly noticed. May 16 and May 21. Okay, so we'll proceed. Present are board members, Jenny Chu, Sean Phillips, Francis Baba, and Taling Taitano and myself, and of course, Executive Director Dave Sanford. The first item of business will be the approval of last month's meetings minutes, which was held in April. I think Dave or the board has sent it out earlier, so
Yep.
please review, and if there's any questions. Otherwise, can I hear a motion to approve?
Move to approve subject to correction.
Second.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
Okay.
Okay, good. Dave, so next business is the the fund?
Yeah, the Guam Accountancy Endowment Fund and the Visiting Professor Program. As you can see, the fund was at a little over 5 million on March 31st, and then it went up a little bit to the 5.069. But it, however, did go down as of the end of April. It was back down to 4.8. So from the March 5063 down to 4874, 4.8 million. But then it jumped back up to 5 million in the 2 weeks between April 30th and May the 17th. So we're just hanging in there at the 5 million mark based on the market and whatever it's going to do as usual. Don't see any issue with that, but we did get charged for another 12,500 in fees for the second quarter. So, and that's it's shown and next to the last page where the expenses are for the year to date. We're showing a 1.23% return, which means through the end of April, actually. So at least we're hanging in there. We're ahead of the game, barely, but at least we're not losing at this point. But again, if we go all the way to the end of the statement, there's our 12,000 in fees. So far year to date, 24,664 in fees. But then again, it's consulting fees. So, well, I seem to be missing the page. How did I do that? Anyway, the last page that shows the actual realized gain or loss, and we still only have the same 30-something thousand realized gain. There's no realized loss at this point.
Okay.
So we're still good for that. I understand the visiting professor program is still going okay. Haven't seen or heard anything bad about it at this point. I understand the CPE event with Dr. Conrad went okay, I guess. Maybe Taling,
yeah.
or were you whoever was there, maybe comment.
On the seminar?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so both days we had pretty good turnout. I don't know if Jessica can confirm the numbers, but I think there was between 70 and 80. I think he did very well. And on the second day, thank you to Ernst and Young for providing refreshments. I don't know that we did an evaluation, but again, I think it went well, and Jessica has already sent out the CPE certificate.
certificates.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. I was thinking we had, yeah, Jessica says we have between 85 and 95 attendees. I was thinking the registrations that I showed was about 84, 85, but you never know who actually shows up. So
Yeah,
there's always a few who come that don't register and vice versa. So
I might have undercounted, but the room was actually pretty comfortable. I was a little worried that that it, it might be pretty tight, but I thought that it was actually comfortable for the amount of people that came.
oh, that's a good thing. So, yeah. Okay.
I was there
So
on the second day.
yeah. Are you pleased with this Dr. Conrad's presentation?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was well attended.
That's a good thing. Well,
Okay.
that's why we're
It's,
trying
yeah.
to provide value back to the community for the amount we're spending on these guys. So that works.
It's not exactly it wasn't exactly exciting information, but
It never is.
he's got a sense of humor. So,
Yeah.
and I think he kept us entertained.
Okay. Well,
I thought I
that's the
saw
key.
Sean sleeping, but I wasn't sure.
I was close to the front row. No, I thought you did a really good job. Yeah, some of the material was a bit dry, but he did the best he could with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turned out well.
Well, let me ask my team, the auditors, if it was exciting for them.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. I mean, as long as he gets the information across, and everybody's more or less happy with it, that's what counts. Considering the price, it's hard to argue with.
Yeah.
He's doing another set, Dave.
Yes, he'll do another day in the fall, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. We try to require to do at least one day for each term that they're here, whether it's either the semester or the summer. And he's supposed to be here through the fall semesters. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think he already has some dates or some months in mind, right? I think he said October, or was it
Yeah.
November? October.
Okay. I'm hoping it's November, so I'll be back for one.
Oh yeah.
Okay. If there's no other issues or questions about that, then we can move on to the licensing approvals.
Okay. Let's take a look at it.
When we're ready, I move to approve as submitted.
Okay. Yeah. We don't have
Any
issues
locals?
with these.
Let's see.
No, I didn't see any. Not this time. So we have 36, I think, total. But no local. Everywhere else, but
Do we keep statistics about where our licensees are and, where the bulk of them might be from?
not lately. We can I can try to do an analysis through the file. We have some country codes or address codes, but I'm not sure how accurate that is at this point, because some of them move around after they get their license, and they move around a good bit. But we could try.
But their address on file might be, of course, the best, right?
Right, and that's what we would use, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's where they are.
Yeah.
You know, they're supposed to update us on their address, but I can do an analysis and see what we come up with. How many of them have a country code that we can use, or a, you know, zip code or something. So we have these 36 and no issues.
Okay. Okay, so I guess Tolling has a motion to approve. Can I hear a second?
Second,
Okay, thank you, Sean. So the applications for certifications and licenses are approved, the applications.
Okie doke. We can move on.
Next
to
item on the
this,
agenda is the general discussion, I guess.
right. So I put this one pager in here about the ARPL, which is about the licensing issues and it's Association of Responsible Professional Licensing. And it says here they paired up imagined benefits of so-called board reform bills with the real world consequences, because there's definitely some misperceptions there. So I put this in mainly for documentation purposes. So this is the one-page flyer they've made to circulate among the people that are involved in some of this legislation. And it's typically legislators who don't really understand what's going on. But number one, there's an imagined benefit that says consolidating boards will make licensing more efficient. And typically the consequence is that consolidating it creates delays for aspiring professionals, because you got merging boards results in lengthier processes, delays and frustration, etc. Because then you've got one consolidated board handling different licenses with different requirements, which makes it more difficult to get done. Number two is changing the board composition increases public input, and that's also not necessarily true. Changing board composition typically will replace and weaken subject matter experts. That's relative to some boards. There are boards that have like 3 or 4 public members, and I think there's at least one board that actually has more public members than they do CPAs, which makes it a little bit more difficult to get things done from a understanding standpoint, because a number of the people in the public don't understand the issues as well as somebody who's in the profession. And 3, the imagined benefit of minimizing licensing boards conserves public dollars, which is generally not true, because the licensing boards weakens the public service that costs the taxpayers nothing, because all of the licensing boards, at least almost all the licensing boards, are all funded by licensing and exam fees. They don't actually use any government allotted monies. So that's another misconception. So I just wanted to put this in for documentation purposes, but we don't have an issue with this. But does anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay, if not, we can move on. It's something that the ARPO started 3 or 4 years ago, actually. So next is our candidate care quarterly report. Essentially, the majority of the issues were prometric scheduling and site issues, and then there was one technical software and hardware. This is all for the first quarter of the new exam. And supposedly the new exam was to minimize issues with hardware and software, and looks like it did, when considering that it was about very small amount of the technical issues relative to just logistical and side issues with Prometric. But what they're saying is the technical software issues really amount to documents provided to answer questions show conflicting information, or there's no balance sheet available, or unclear instructions, that kind of thing. So on the whole, the first quarter of the brand new exam seems to have gone very well, because we only had 133 issues. And that's a lot, that's probably half the normal issues that we've been having in per one quarter. The rest of it's the standard candidate error and stuff like that. And then the other technical issue with the hardware is like exam won't launch, the tools aren't working properly, or it shuts down. The system is not able to restart. Confirmation of attendance not printing, which most of those are more hardware than software.
Is this a overall review of all of the test sites? And
Yep.
if it is there any specific report with regard to the Guam site?
We could get one. If there was one, we would actually get a Guam site report, but we've never had one, and not in quite a long time that I'm aware of. So we haven't had any real issues. Of course, we're not given very many exams nowadays. I think the last month or so, we've only given 10 or 15 exams. It went up towards the end of last year because of all the people coming through, but we didn't seem to have any issues. But the 133 issues is out of all of the sections of exam given in this quarter, first quarter of 2024 calendar year. So it does cover everything.
For the Guam candidates, are there specific sites that our candidates go to, or is it kind of all over the place?
All over the place. They can go anywhere they want to go, and most of them actually are probably in the Middle East or in Japan or Taiwan, or not Taiwan, but even now the Taiwanese can go to Japan if they want, or Koreans. But yeah, most of the Guam candidates are not taking the test here. We have no idea where they're actually taking it. We'd have to run a detailed report and analyze it and aggregate the data. We could get it, but I don't know. I think most of them are in the Middle East. So. Any other questions about this?
No, I mean, we don't have, like you said, we don't have too many candidates coming through, so it doesn't really impact us. I mean,
not in the test center, yeah,
the local
here. Test center.
Yeah,
right. You're right, John.
But I'm just curious how they're doing overall. I mean, that's because the test center is NASBA, right? NASBA Test Center.
Right. I think our revenue for April, our testing revenue from April was $560, something like that, 500 and some odd dollars.
Our testing.
which was our share of the testing revenue. I think there was, I forget, 12 or 9 or 10, maybe 6. It's $540, maybe six sections that were given in April. Anyway, but we've never had any real complaints coming out of our test center. Randy does a pretty good job of making sure everything works. And our volume has been so low recently.
Okay.
So that leads us to the financial statement, which I'm happy to report. These are the actual numbers for April, including the exam application fees from CPACE. And I was quite surprised that the April revenue was 22,000, I think, something close to 22,000. I had anticipated that by April, application revenues would start falling off because the scores were being held, some supposedly up until maybe May or June. However, the application volume has not fallen off as we anticipated. And last night, I got here for the meeting yesterday afternoon, and Jason is here, Katigvik, and we saw Mike Decker at the reception last night for the council meeting here, the ICPA council meeting, and Mike was telling me that they haven't seen any fall off in the applications, and in addition to that, they have reached the volume levels that they needed to validate the scoring. So they've already actually developed all their scores, the cut scores, and they should be releasing scores a lot sooner than they thought they would. So in that sense, I think we're in for a better FY24 than we thought we were. It doesn't seem that they're going to need to be holding the scores as long as they thought they might have to. So we should definitely wind up in a better position than we thought we would be in, since we're already exceeding our budgeted application fees by 26,000. It's probably going to be, well, I don't know. We've been averaging somewhere between 12 and 15,000 previously, and with the new exam, we should at least be doing that. I would imagine that same amount for the rest of the year. Which is what, 5 more months. So I would presume we're going to probably wind up with about 200,000 in exam application fee over the 120 we budgeted. So otherwise, we're doing okay. We did get more test center fees, chiefly because of the final push to get the sections taken before the end of 2023, most of which was the BEC sections. I think we had 1,200 sections in the test center in the last quarter of 2023, which is what bumped that up. But our certification and licensing fees seem to be on track at this point. So I think we're going to wind up with somewhere between 100 to 150,000 surplus.
Okay. Hey, Dave, that training that Dr. Conrad did, that didn't cost us anything, right? We didn't have to pay for anything.
No, the training, no. The UOG waived the fee that they were going to charge us, so didn't cost anything.
Okay. Because I know we always have a standard 7,500 in the budget for education and testing, and
right. No.
We don't really need it if we're going to be leveraging the visiting professor program.
Yeah,
and
right.
And UOG, using UOG's venue.
Right. Yeah, so that worked well. And we should continue to think about doing that. So, but I'm pretty sure we're going to wind up with at least 150,000 in surplus revenue for the rest of the year, maybe even more. So what happened here, as you can see, the April revenue was 22,440. So we were looking at the evaluations. There were 259 evaluations, and I think it's 604 actual sections. So you have to remember that in comparison to last year, what's happening now, we used to charge a fee for the first-time applicants, which was higher than the re-exam applicants. But due to the fact that the exam was split, where you now have the 3 disciplines, they changed the process so that when you apply to take the exam, you pay a fee to get approved. So essentially our applicants, the 259 applicants are new applicants that have applied to take the exam first time, and they get approved to take the exam. And then the section revenue, which is the 604, I think, is all of the sections that are given for that month. So, and each one is paid the same. There used to be a difference between the re-exam fee was less than the initial application fee, and now the fees are all the same. So you pay the same fee for a section as you did for the evaluation. So in that sense, the revenues are a little higher, even though the sections are lower, but it's a different kind of split in terms of how that works. So, but it's worked okay for us because we've seen our revenues higher every month than last year. So no complaints in that sense, which is a boon because I hadn't planned on that kind of boost in terms of the application revenue. And with AICPA saying that they've already got enough volume in the sections and the disciplines to validate the scores, they're going to be releasing scores sooner than anticipated, which means that we should see a higher volume of sections given than we anticipated. Because I planned on the fact that you can't take a section over until you get the score. So if you're going to wait an extra 2 months to get the score versus 3 weeks, we thought it would drop off, but it's not. So that's a boon. And that's pretty much all I have at this point, unless anybody has questions.
I think the only not a question, but NASBA has a new president. I think that happened since our last meeting, right?
Yes, Ken Bishop, of course, is retiring. His last day, I think, is in August. And they finally announced that the new president would be Dan Dustin. Dan's a pretty good guy. He was formerly the New York State Executive Director for I don't know how many years, quite a while. And then he moved to NASBA about 10 years ago, and he's been in charge of state board relations since he went to NASBA. And he's got a good head on his shoulders. He doesn't react off the cuff. He thinks things through. So I think he'll make a pretty good president. He may not be quite as personable as Ken was, but of course, Ken had a lot of varied background, including being a police officer and an undercover cop. So, but Dan is definitely, I think, a good choice in the long run.
When does he take over?
I think they're in the process of transitioning between now and the end of August. And I think Ken's final day would be in August, and he'll probably wind up coming to the NASBA annual meeting in October, but his last day for actual working is in sometime in August. Yeah.
Then that would mean someone would be needed to take over Dan's position, right?
Yes, I'm sure there'll be some shuffling there. So, and that could be John Johnson because he's been doing the legislative stuff the whole time. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. I haven't heard anything yet, but yeah, they'll have to find somebody to fill Dan's position. There's also an announcement. I don't know if any of you have seen or heard anything today, but and today in the council meeting, they announced that Barry Melanson's retiring.
Oh, wow.
He will have been in his job 2 months short of 30 years.
Wow.
So he's actually been running the AICPA organization for 30 years. So,
My
they announced his retirement today, and it'll be as of the end of this year, December. And they have a search committee going, and they went through some of the details of that today in the meeting. But they're going to they've hired a firm, an international firm, to do a search for replacement. And they have, I don't know, about 12 or 14 people in a search committee that'll do the evaluations and stuff. So they'll find somebody to take over Barry's role at the AICPA.
Interesting.
So it's kind of interesting that you got a transition between the NASBA and the AICPA in the same year. So,
yeah. Interesting. Hey,
yeah.
Dave, just curious, was Susan Conrad in the running for president?
I I don't know. You mean Colleen Conrad? Yeah.
Sorry, Susan Conrad, Colleen Conrad. Yeah.
I thought she might have been, but I'm not sure that she really was. She never mentioned it, and in a lot of ways, I think she's kind of happy where she is, because she doesn't have to deal with some of the, issues that you have to deal with that Ken had to deal with. She mostly deals with all of the professional type issues and things. So, so I'm not sure. I haven't heard one way or the other, but I never got an indication from her that she was in the running. So she may just be a happy camper where she is, because she's got a good position and she knows what she's doing and she deals with all the technical issues. So
yeah. Okay.
and she's good at it. That's about it.
I was wondering about the budget. Have we had any feedback yet about
Nope.
the FY25?
Oh man, we submitted our budget, and typically we never hear anything about it until it shows up in the budget bill.
Uh-huh. And they just
And I
rolled
can't-
over the last budget.
Yeah, well, that's what they were doing, but this past year they made up a new number. I'm not sure where it came from, but they made up a new number based on what we submitted. So, but it
Hmm.
wasn't what we submitted. So anyway, I can I can send an email and ask if you want me to, but
No, I
typically,
was just wondering in general,
yeah,
they usually go through the budget over the summer.
yeah. But if you see Joe S., you could ask him
Oh.
if he, but typically I don't think they even look at our budget. They just kind of put it in the whole process and let it ride.
Yeah, because we're never asking for money, right?
No, we're considered a special fund, and I think there's, I don't know, a handful of special funds where they just kind of stick the numbers in the worksheet that goes in for special funds. Frankly, I think that's kind of what they do.
Hey, Dave, if we engage Joe McDonald to help with the regs, do we need a budget for the legal services line item?
Well, yes
Sure.
and no. We don't specifically have to have a line item for it, as it falls under contractual services, and we've got enough money in there to cover it. I don't think we've ever been held to a line item budget. Generally, our appropriation is just a lump sum appropriation for expenses. So there's no line item issues in that regard, and we have enough.
We'll have to pay the AG for the use of Joe?
Yes, and that'll be at whatever the agreed rate is. I think it's $2.50 or something like that an hour. But the AG's office will bill us for whatever that amount is, because they're paying him. So
When do we expect to start receiving services from Joe?
Well, I have to email him some details. We got everything squared away, but since I had my surgery, I haven't actually contacted him with the details. So I'm planning on doing that this week. So, the only other thing I have to say is that I may have to delay my return for a few weeks, which means I'll just stay and go to the Western Regional meeting in Omaha from here. Tony's we went and had some just basic checkup stuff done, and she had a scan, and they want her to do some follow-up work, so tests. So that may take another week or two. So we were planning on leaving to Vegas the end of this week and coming home first week of June. But it may now take another couple of weeks to get everything done they want to see before they let her go.
Okay.
Figure if we're here, we might as well do it now, because they have all the equipment and everything else to do what they need to do. So I should know within a few days, and I'll let you know. But we may wind up having the June meeting by virtual Zoom also.
Yeah.
If everybody's going to be available. If not, we can always postpone it to July. It's up to you guys, based on who's going to be available or not.
Well, I think I'll still be here in June.
Okay.
I'll be here.
Were you coming to the Omaha meeting, John?
Yeah, but I don't leave till I think the 24th.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I had planned to come back to Guam and then just go back for the meeting, but looks like I'm probably going to be staying here until the meeting anyway.
Wow, you're gone a long time.
Too long. Kind of like to be home for a change. Even though I like my sister, but not sleeping in your own bed gets old after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, does anybody have any other issues, questions? No?
Nothing. Okay, so
Move to adjourn.
okay, so there's a motion, Darling, motion to adjourn. Can I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sean. So meeting adjourned.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thanks.
good morning. Good night,
Thank you.
Dave. Enjoy your dinner.
Okay, yeah, I'll be in touch. Thank you. Okay, bye now.
Okay, bye.